First of all, I'd like to welcome this Titan to Tuesday Titans. We see Shon here in the background, and I just want to give a little edification for him and, really say hello to everybody. So, Shon, your reputation is significant. I've done some fact checking and research on you before our show today. Obviously, we know each other and we've met back in the KW days, but I'm going to try and highlight a little bit. So if I cut anything significant, let me know if I left it out.
You got it.
Basically, today we have a Titan in the house. Today we have Shon Kokoszka with us, and I'm very, very excited to be in the presence of Shon, and really what he's done for the real estate industry is amazing. But Shon built his reputation, an ironclad reputation, by selling real estate between 91 and 2012 in Denver, Colorado. Really mastering systems and scripts. He did over 250 transactions per year, about $1 billion in accumulated volume, and really just a pillar in the real estate environment. And then obviously a lot of you know Shon Kokoszka from Keller Williams. He was really, he's trained over 500,000, maybe close to 1 million agents now. If you think about that number for a second, it's just mind blowing. I look at Shon as a thought leader, a thought leader in the real estate space specifically. We recently ran into each other in an event, and I begged him and got on my hands and knees, asked him to be on the show, and he gratefully accepted. Shon comes with just almost a lifetime. Probably we'll talk about this, but probably a prodigy amount of real estate experience because of your mom, Diana Kokoszka, and being entrenched in that environment. But now you've moved on to other things. You're aligned with eXp Realty. You're now running Icon Coaching, which is amazing. I'm excited to hear about that particular piece.
Yeah.
And really, obviously your resume is long. I mean, I could have wrote 10 pages on you, but basically you've coached and mentored and or trained in front of some of the biggest companies on the planet, McDonald's, Panasonic, T-Mobile, Pepsi, Genentech, Fidelity, FedEx, Sport Clips, and, on and on and on. And actually a short kind of cool story. I got a very good buddy of mine to work at Genentech about 25 years ago. He's still there, I believe. And I was the guy that helped him on his resume, helped him, develop this thing to start at that company, which was kind of an up and coming company with cystic fibrosis. And so I don't know your relationship with them, but that one stood out to me as a passionate company. But, with that, I'd just like to welcome you to the show. My vision for Tuesday Titans is really to highlight the Titans in the industry and whatever that space is around real estate, lending, title, real estate, business, entrepreneurship. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to you, Shon, and just maybe you can give a little welcome, let people know a little bit about who you are, and then we're going to open it for questions and all kinds of stuff as we progress. So I'm really excited about the show today, buddy.
Well, thanks for having me, Randy. And by the way, I think you make me sound far too good. I've always approached my life, my career with the mindset that, hey, man, I'm as good as the best, yet I'm no better than the rest. It's that humility, the ability to erase the board of our achievements every day, to recognize that we rent our success in this industry every single day. And guess what? That landlord comes for payment every day, no doubt about it. So one of the Icon maxims, these are little phrases that almost magically kind of shift your mindset and get you to take more aggressive and appropriate action. One that just came to my mind quickly was, are you a dream believer or dream buyer? You choose, meaning, do you just believe in the dream, or are you willing to pay the price associated with obtaining the dream? See, all of our dreams, all of our desires, I believe, well, they're uphill, meaning it's a little bit challenging to get there, right? Yet many of us, we have these uphill dreams with downhill habits. So a significant portion of what I get to do every day is to bring conscious awareness to the activities required for you to achieve the success that you want, to apply discipline, to own the habit, to bring those activities to what I call the point of automaticity, meaning that you show up at the office, you show whether you work from your home or your office, when you show up, these activities become something that you just do. And of course, they're business building activities, they're dollar productive activities that are going to move the needle for you, for your career, your production, and your profit, no doubt about it. So I'm excited to see where this conversation goes today. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I am too, and we're already getting people chiming in and asking a couple questions and stuff. But first question by Monique is, where are you out of? Where do you live now? Obviously, you were at KW International, and were you in Austin for some period of time?
Yeah, in fact, I'm in Austin currently. Love Austin. It's a great, fun, energetic town. We live right on the lake here at Lake Travis. Absolutely love it. I grew up in Denver. In fact, me and my family, my wife and I specifically, 42 years in Denver. We've got 3 kids. They're 20, 19, and 9. And, I frankly, I haven't had to touch a snow shovel or an ice scraper for the last 8 years, and I'm going to keep it that way.
I think that's probably a smart plan right there, buddy. There's so much to talk about when we look at real estate and the future of real estate. But before we get into the real kind of meat and potatoes, I like asking these questions to kind of get an idea for the viewers, but like, what are you watching right now? What last 3 books have you read? What's tracking with you? Obviously, I didn't even say it in the intro. You just literally, your credits we take 45 minutes to introduce you, and thank you for your humility, but you were a very instrumental piece in all the training curriculum for the Wall Street Journal and New York Best Time Seller, the book, The One Thing. You've obviously heard of that. And MREA, I don't know if that was prior to your time. I imagine it was, but that was our real estate Bible for 5 or 6, 7 years. Mine looks just like a tattered yellow pages, but
mine too. Yeah.
I love that. So tell me about what 3 books are you tracking with? What's Shon Kokoszka reading right now?
Well, I think first off, you'd mentioned The One Thing. I don't want that to slip by because I think it's a brilliantly written book by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And I had the pleasure of collaborating in the writing of all the training and all the coaching and all the, the teleseminar series, the keynote speeches and all of that. And, had the opportunity to present that methodology to a whole bunch of different companies that you'd mentioned earlier. And really where our strong suit is, it's really around planning. Around planning. And I would, there are books that I start into that, frankly, I wonder, is this person really just kidding themselves and their audience, or are they truly kind of a prophet as it relates to that method or that thought, or are they truly a thought leader? And there's a few books that really stick out to me that I think would be worth mentioning. In fact, the very first business book I ever read was Stephen R. Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I got to tell you, that message resonated back then, and it resonates even today. It's about giving an inordinate amount of time to the activities that are going to move the needle for you, your production, your profit. The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. In fact, I read that in my early 20s and flew out to California, met up with Michael Gerber, got my certification through the E-Myth, and literally focused on systemizing everything associated with a real estate sales team. And in coordination with Diana Kokoszka, many of you know, my mother, just a titan in this industry, no doubt. We wrote 19 systems books on the real estate team, and helped thousands of teams with the implementation of systems. Now, this I think is critically important because a system to me, Randy, it's nothing more, nothing less than a standardized process that produces a consistent and predictable result. So Michael Gerber, the master of systems development, and following that methodology, we were able to really systemize everything. So, the bottom line is, at that time in my career, I was a buyer's agent. And probably one of the first buyer's agents on the face of the planet. The model really didn't exist back then. Yet through the systemizing of the buy side of the business, I was able to, with one assistant, consistently close over 100 buyer side transactions per year, generating several $100,000 commission months with an average sales price, by the way, of around $155,000. So, it's a lot of volume. And the only way you can do that volume, guys, is you have to systemize your approach. Everything from your lead conversion conversations to your buyer initial counseling session, to do that systematically instead of saying, well, I wonder what's going to come out of my mouth today, right? To do it systematically, to get that consistent, predictable result. And since we're kind of on that subject of the buy side of the business, frankly, and while Gary Keller's 100% right, listings are leverage. You can make a tremendous amount of money on the buy side of your business, provided you systemize that approach, right? Do it the same way every time, modified only for the natural behavioral tendencies of your prospect to convert them to a client, to get them under contract quickly. And as it relates to, systemizing the buyer presentation, that initial counseling session, really, I determined that there are 20 expectations that must be set in order to make the buy side of your business run smoothly. In fact, working the buy side of your business, guys, is nothing more, nothing less than setting the appropriate expectations and then managing those expectations, because we've all been there, right? Where you've worked with a buyer, you show them 25, 30 houses. This has been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. They finally narrow it down to the one that they want to buy. And of course, they want to make some sort of a low ball offer, right? You know it's not going to be accepted. And the bottom line is we don't need practice writing contracts. You want to write contracts that stick. So whose fault is that, by the way? See, to me, it's the agent, because they didn't take control of the relationship. They didn't set the expectation around list price to sales price ratios. They didn't do the math with them. So then when they find this home, let's say it's listed for $500,000, they want to make an offer of like $450 or $425 in a tight market. It's not going to get accepted. So
not going to happen.
Set the expectations, right? So so systemizing that process and then making it generic enough. You know, I sell that 20-point buyer presentation to help realtors across the board. And the bottom, the simple truth is this, that when an agent practices those 24 scripts that come along with it, when they follow the PowerPoint and they have their buyer fill in the blanks, I mean, guys, I just made this as easy as it could be. It's like coloring by numbers, right? Simple. They follow the 24 scripts. Literally 100% of the time after that initial meeting, you end up with a signed buyer agency contract. In fact, they enthusiastically want to sign it for you. That's lack of exposure. So one of the Bibles as it relates to really increasing your production and positioning yourself in the mind of your prospects is a book by Trout and Rice. In fact, there's two of them. The first one is called Positioning, Trout and Rice, right? The next is the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And while these books were written 20, 25 years ago, the methods, the message resonates today just as well as it did back then. All you have to do is apply a digital approach to it and a social media approach. And yeah, you'll find yourself getting more and more and more leads. And that's what we all want, right?
I love it. I knew I was going to take a page full of notes when I talked to you today, Shon. So question, you know, I've had a couple questions, and one, you mentioned the buyer's agent and the leverage opportunity with that. And I do believe you're a master, and especially the one thing really, you know, really exemplified that idea of what's the important pieces of a real estate agent's nugget, you know, what's their business and what is something you got. I have a lot of potential people that are doing 30, 40 transactions on their own a year. And the next step is either a buyer's agent. You know, what do you think is a good transitional piece for them? I mean, you are the master at this. So give the listeners some idea of what they could do to, you know, take that buyer's agent level to implementation.
Well, a whole bunch of things. First off, once you've reached that natural ceiling of achievement, meaning I cannot put another buyer through the pipeline, I can't take another listing because I can't create another hour in the day, right? We've reached this natural ceiling of achievement. Now, once you're there, the only thing that's going to bring you to that next level success, frankly, it's leverage. So leverage comes in 4 different categories. Okay, gang. First off, it's through models. I'm talking about your lead generation model, your lead conversion model, your economic models, even your compensation models you look to leverage through people. Okay. Second would be systems, your standardized process to produce a consistent and predictable result. Third, through technology. So leveraging through technology can make our lives easier and allow us to increase our production and our profit, provided you're leveraging the right method or the right technologies, excuse me. And by the way, there's thousands of them out there. At Icon Coaching, we vet the best, and we only recommend those to our client base that produce a significant ROI. So we've done a lot of that research for you. You don't have to feel your way through the darkness, okay? And then finally, it's through people. And that's really what we're talking about here. Once I've reached that natural ceiling of achievement, how do I get people to align with my personal vision to increase that net bottom line number? So first off, I think the mistake a lot of people make is they say, okay, you got a real estate license, you got a pulse, you seem to be like a great person. Why don't you be my buyer's agent? And then they say, well, here's maybe a couple of things you should know. Now go conquer the world, right? And they start providing them with leads. The person's skill set, their knowledge isn't there, their mindset or habits aren't there, and they're burning through the leads, they're burning money through this process, and they fail miserably. So rather than just going straight out, hiring a buyer's agent, here's my input, okay? First, engage somebody as a showing partner. A showing partner, or better yet, a showing concierge as an externally faced title, right? Which almost inherently has some added value, some benefit to say, okay, I'll work with that person instead of with you, because they're going to be available to show you homes that fast, especially in a tight market. It's easy to sell. Now, this person, they're going to be a showing partner slash ISA, which is inbound sales associate. So they're focused on your pool of leads. They're converting open house leads. They're doing the follow-up calls through that nurturing sequence to move them from the dreaming phase associated with buying a home to the actual buying phase, right? And once they move them into the appointment schedule, then they're going to shadow you during this appointment. They're going to watch you go through this initial counseling session. They're going to help you prepare the buyer agency contract. And once that's signed, they're going to take them in their car, drive them all over town until they find the right home. Now, as a sidebar comment, to keep you from getting sucked back into the follow-up trap, they're never allowed, to leave a showing appointment without scheduling their next. So it's Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, they're going to show 3 homes to this prospect, none of which work. Before they part company, they're going to get them on the schedule for their next showing appointment. They'll always have appointments scheduled.
Time out. That's such a big piece that you just mentioned. And Don Yoakum and Tom Daves, these guys are really masters at setting the next appointment. But if you're listening right now, stop and think about what he just said. Are you constantly setting the next appointment up? Or are you shaking hands thinking about the next thing you have to do that day? And that's such a critical piece. So sorry to stop you in your tracks there, Shon, but that was one of those aha moments that's going to be a takeaway from this call today that could change the real estate life. Do you believe that? Besides choking on water.
Right. Buddy, I'm sorry. I just swallowed wrong. That was great.
No, it's okay. I did that yesterday, and I was recording a video, and it literally, I was like, okay, that just came out my nose, just so you know.
It almost did. All right. So
Shon, in that setting the next appointment, that's just such a critical piece that a lot of agents don't have the skills, training, and understanding of that, especially in a buyer's agent category.
Right. And they're thinking, well, I don't have anything else to show them. I don't care. Set the appointment. You'll figure it out. And here's a little trick for you that I did hundreds, if not thousands of times. Let's say I set up that next appointment with this prospect and I didn't have anything to show them. Of course, I would just go back to MLS. I would change the search from active to canceled, withdrawn, expired. And then I would do the research on each of those canceled, withdrawn, expired that matched the criteria of the client I was working with. And then I would just call them up. And multiple times we were able to get in positions of double ending the deal to have both sides of the transaction, get a 6% commission instead of a 3% commission. That's always a lot of fun, isn't it?
Totally.
Takes the same amount of time, bottom line. Okay, so once they find the right home, they're going to bring them back to the office. They're going to shadow you as you write the contract. Okay, they're going to watch you present it to the buyer, how you do that, why you're putting this in that blank versus that, right? So you're, in essence, giving them on-the-job training. And then they'll be part of the negotiations with the listing agent so that you can tell them, here's what I'm doing, here's why I'm doing it. They'll be part of all that communication. And once they get a minimum of 3 buyers under contract in the capacity of a showing partner, well, then you promote them to buyer agent. So think about it like this. When they qualify their buyer prospects, gang, there's really 3 areas that the buyer needs to be qualified. First, it's the needs of the prospect. Does that property exist? Okay. And their ability to qualify the needs of the prospect is directly determined by their knowledge of the market. So by forcing them to be a showing concierge at first, they're going to understand the neighborhoods. They're going to know the builders. They're going to know the lot size on average. They're going to know the square footages and the price points of various communities, what school district they belong to. They're going to be upping their knowledge as it relates to the inventory in the market, right? The second area is qualifying motivation. Now, one thing it's important to recognize is that motivated prospects, gang, they're located, they're not created, right? They're located, they're not created. And then third, they've got to qualify the financial side of the equation to make certain that the buyer has the wherewithal to complete this transaction. Now, I'm going to give you a very simple 3-step formula because what I do, I want you to be able to walk away with something that you can implement like right now that's going to have a significant impact on your trajectory, your production, and your profit, okay? Right. So 3-step formula as it relates to the financing side of this business, getting your prospects financially approved. Step number 1, we don't want to assume that they need a loan. So you're going to start this portion of the line of questioning with a very simple question. Are you paying cash or obtaining financing? Now, a lot of times they say, well, I wish I could pay cash, but no, I'm going to need a mortgage. Step number 2, here it is. You ready? Well, let me ask, would it be okay with you if I helped you save money on your mortgage? Who says no to that?
Right. That's a yes for sure.
Right. See, a lot of agents, they're going to say, well, are you pre-approved yet? Who are you pre-approved through? Oh, it's oh, it's quickandhomeloans.com. Great. That's fantastic, right? Send me the pre-approval letter. I don't care if you're pre-approved.
You said that with a straight face.
I don't care if you're pre-approved through
Right.
somebody else. Here's the simple truth. When you can make a connection between your lender and your prospect and they get together, guys, your ability to earn that prospect's business increased by at least 1,000%.
True.
Especially when your lender edifies you and you edify your lender. Okay. So would it be okay with you if I helped you save money on your mortgage? Oh, that'd be great. Well, I'll tell you what, let's do. I'd like to just get your permission to have my lender give you a call. That's the action. Okay, so I'm also going to kind of layer on here a very simple closing strategy to help you guys get more of what you want when you want it. I call it the ABCs of selling. And it's nothing cheesy, no offense to Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, yet always be closing, never did a realtor any good, okay? Mm-hmm. The new ABCs of selling are this: it's action, benefit, commitment. So you as a salesperson, you outline the action. What do you want them to do? Now, anytime you ask them to do something, there's this question that appears in their mind, right? Why should I do that? What's in it for me? Yeah. So you immediately follow the action request with a benefit. In essence, you say, here's what's in it for you. Here's why you should say yes. And then we follow the benefit with a simple commitment. And I prefer alternative choice because it's really hard to say no to that, right? So tell me, when's the best time for you to get together with my lender? Is it weekdays, weekends, or in the next 30 minutes? Right. So let me just demonstrate that. So step number one, are you paying cash or obtaining financing? Right. Would it be okay with you if I helped you save money on your mortgage? Then it's ABC, right? Well, I'd like to gain your permission just to have my lender give you a call. Now, this lender has consistently beat other lenders in our market area, both in closing costs and interest rates. And let's face it, even a 1/8% difference in interest rate over a 30-year mortgage, that could turn into tens of thousands of dollars. So tell me, when is the best time for my lender to give you a call? Is it weekdays, weekends, or in the next 30 minutes? And again, I don't care if you're pre-approved somewhere else. The more control I have over this relationship, the more likely we are to get to the closing table, right?
Totally. I love
so
that.
The 3 hours of qualifying: the needs, the motivation, and the finances, right? And so working side by side with you in the capacity of a showing partner / ISA, you're going to be able to gift them with the phone skill, okay? Working with them as a showing concierge, you're going to set them up for success. And that's the part that a lot of people miss out on. And then once they've got 3 buyers under contract, then you're going to promote them to buyer agent. Now, at this portion of them being a showing concierge, recognize they're receiving valuable training and you're still doing the heavy lifting. So the commission splits, you're going to get the lion's share of that commission. And I'd recommend an 85-15 split after any company dollar has been paid out.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I got a question that came up, and any closing on that particular piece?
Well, I think there's a next step to their evolution, and what your job is to create an ascension ladder within your organization if you truly want to build a team. So once they're promoted to buyer agent, then provided they're hitting the benchmarks and proving that they've got the solid work ethic, that they've aligned with your culture and they're ambassador for that. Right. Well, then once you get to a certain point, and by the way, then I think the next key hire is to get that person as showing concierge. Okay, so not only are they adding value to somebody else and pouring into that somebody else to get them promoted up to buyer agent, you've also leveraged off the training aspect of the buy side of the business altogether, right? So somebody else is going to do that for you, and that's the key. So leverage, one of my favorite words. Let's agree that in this country, we already live a highly leveraged life, right? Like many of you are wearing shoes right now. I'm not sure about Randy, yet many of you are wearing shoes right now, right? Did you make those shoes? No, you didn't make those shoes. You leveraged through a different company or a person to make those shoes for you. No doubt. It's just a matter of applying that type of thinking to your real estate business. How do you get to the position of leverage and scalability? So once you get them a showing concierge, then once they get 3 buyers under contract, you're going to promote that person up to buyer agent. And ideally, that first buyer agent is the right talent to meet that middle level of management in your organization. You then promote them to lead buyer agent, at which time their job description and their compensation model shifts pretty dramatically, where they're really focused, number 1, on recruiting, number 2, on training, and then coaching and holding those people accountable. And the compensation model shifts such that they're going to be compensated based on the production of others. And that's where the magic happens, guys. That's where an incredible financial future comes from. See, if you focus on personal production for your income, I mean, it's noble, And yes, I've made millions of dollars selling real estate, and you will too, right? Yet when you're focused on personal production, that's all you can focus on. When you align with a model or build a model where you can receive compensation through the production of others, that's where true financial wealth can really come from. Okay, this is where my friend Gene Frederick, he said this: it's generational wealth, where you can impact not only your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, and frankly, that's why I chose to align with EXP. I mean, because it is a model. Thank you, Glenn Sanford. You've created a model that allows every EXP agent to step into that realm of receiving compensation based on the production of others. I mean, my boys, they're 20 and 19. They're both studying to get their real estate licenses right now as they're finish up college and all that jazz. And so I looked at every model out there. And I mean, I've got a significant history with Keller Williams. Love Keller Williams. I mean, love the leadership, love the training. Coldwell Banker, I've got several clients with them with, every big box you can imagine, we're coaching with them, right? So Icon Coaching, while we're brokerage agnostic, I personally decided to move my license over to EXP, and I'm recommending my boys do the same thing because of just that. When you can align with a model that allows you to create generational wealth based on the production of others, man, that's where financial growth is going to stem from.
So true. And I'm glad you transitioned to that, because I have a question. Obviously your mom, Diana Kokoszka, is at Keller Williams. You've now transitioned to EXP. I think your appreciation for the model is clear and understandable. How's Thanksgiving in the Kokoszka household? How are you going to be across the table being EXP and KW? I mean, I know there's a lot of fun going on between those rivals, but how's that look?
Well, first off, I'm her biggest fan. She's my biggest fan, right? We support one another. And, we had significant conversations leading up to this because I was concerned, about her, about Keller Williams and all of that. Yet at the end of the day, she said, Shon, you need to do what's right for you and for your family. And, I saw this as the fastest path to financial freedom that exists in the marketplace today. Now, EXP is not for everybody. I get that. And I'm not here to pound you over the head with it. At the same time, if you are interested in that model, or you're what I call EXP curious, right? You just want to learn about the model. I've developed a very short little video that you can gain access to. It's just 7 minutes in duration, yet this video in 7 minutes does what it takes me about 35 minutes to explain to somebody. And it's a high leverage. And it's applying leverage, right, to give you the information without investing a ton of my time. Yet, if you want to, just go ahead and text EXP1, no space, just EXP, the number 1, to 888-111. Again, it's EXP1 to 888-111. The system will automatically ping you back on your text with a link to a short video. Once you watch that video, there's also a link to my personal calendar. And if you want to do a deeper dive into this model, you want to investigate it and learn about the 4 different ways that EXP compensates their agents, well, I'd be happy to do that deeper dive with you. And yet the question I have for a lot of you that are not with EXP right now is, how long have you worked for your brokerage and how much equity or ownership do you have in the company? Now, I've been in the shoes where the answer was 0. And that frankly didn't feel very good. And I'm going to be very blunt. The traditional brokerage model, it's almost like they're pimps. And forgive me if that's offensive to you, yet they put us as realtors to work out on the streets to make them money. And that's exactly what it's always felt like to me. And I always worried about what I was paying to my broker. I mean, I would get my commission check. I would look at the chunk that they took out of it. And I thought, well, how much value am I really getting from this? And what I recognized is my broker was making me broker. So the bottom line is, in the new way of thinking, it's not so much about what you pay to your broker, it's about what your broker is going to pay to you. And again, when you align with a model where they're going to compensate you by helping them grow and receive compensation through the production of others, guys, I've got friends that I don't want to blow your minds, yet they're making over $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a month because they made this decision to align with this model. So if you're truly after financial freedom, guys, I'm just looking for 40 people. That's it. 40 people that I can create multi-millionaires out of. If that's you, if you've got that desire, if you've got that drive, and you've got a solid work ethic, please text EXP1 to 888-111. It'll be the best decision you've ever made in your financial career.
I love it. And we're recording this, so this will be able to be played back and people will be able to see this later that weren't able to be on the live cast. But, Shon, you bring so much talent to EXP and really so much credibility from your past experience and stuff. We just see so many people really starting to align that really are game changers in the industry. I mean, we can Jay Kinder, Kyle Whistle, Curtis Johnson, just amazing. Brent Gove, the people that are coming onto this train, if you will, are just, it's really surprising. What do you see in the future of real estate that's the most exciting, maybe, and maybe the most concerning? Any takeaways from that?
Well, I think the brokerage model, the traditional brokerage model, that will come to an end here very, very soon. Not only are they're financially backed by VC companies, technology firms out there trying to put you and I out of business. There's also, new entrants, new models that, agents are able to align with thanks to technology. The speed of the internet is what made EXP even possible to begin with. Yet there's just so many changes structurally in the brokerage model. I mean, look at Realogy. I mean, their stock has plummeted.
$5 or something.
Yeah, I was talking to Rick Jiha out in Vegas at that event that you'd mentioned earlier, the leadership conference for EXP, and he said, "Shon, I'm coaching 6 RE/MAX franchisees, and one of them makes a modest profit annually, and the other 5," he said, "they're supplementing the brokerage, in essence, to keep the doors open with their personal production," meaning the commissions that they're working hard to make themselves, they're going back toward, keeping the doors open. They can't afford to do revenue share. So You think, well, how can EXP do it and nobody else can? Well, they're a virtually based company. They're cloud-based. They don't have the expenses of brick and mortar. They're not making lease payments or paying property taxes or water, sewer, or even paying for copy machines or, call coordinators or, managing brokers, team leaders, MCAs, whatever you want to call it. They're not paying for any of that stuff. So the bottom line is that EXP shares with the agents that help them grow 50% of the gross revenue collected through the cap that an agent pays back to the agents that help them grow. And guys, when you understand the math behind this, when you recognize the power of multiplication, then it really becomes a no-brainer. In fact, I say the only reason that people are not just jumping over to EXP right now is because, number one, they either haven't taken the time to investigate the model, okay? Or number two, they just don't understand how math works. I mean, it's really that simple. So when you invest the time, guys, and here's what I find, the people that I have this conversation with about EXP, they end up with what I call EXP insomnia, meaning they can't sleep at night because of the power of this model. They're researching and watching video after video and understanding how this attraction model works and ultimately what's in it for them, as well as the people associated with the RevShare team when they make the decision, when they come over to EXP.
Yeah, Jay Kinder coined the phrase, you cannot unsee this information. So I always tell people, I apologize in advance. If it creates insomnia, like you said, you cannot unsee this information. So to tag on the one thing, what's the one thing that attracted you to EXP the most then?
Well, there's so many things, first and foremost. Yeah. I would say the one thing that really got me is the ability to align with a model to where I could derive compensation personally based on the production of others. And that might sound selfish or self-centered. Nothing could be further from the truth, though. See, the individuals who make the decision and align with me based on the models that we've created around lead generation, we're actually going to help those people add people to their downlines associated with revenue share. And again, 50% of the gross revenue is shared back to the agents that help them grow. Now, there are a lot of people say, well, it sounds like a pyramid scheme to me. It sounds like an MLM. Guys, it's not a pyramid. It's not an MLM. Nothing could be further from the truth. They're publicly traded on NASDAQ, right? They're simply compensating agents for helping them grow in terms of agent count. I mean, it's just really that simple. And others say, well, how is there any money if everybody's just recruiting? They're not just recruiting. I mean, obviously, it has to occur, otherwise revenue share doesn't exist, right? So it's not only about improving the individual's production by empowering them with the right knowledge, the right skills, mindset, and habits, which, by the way, they offer over 40 hours of training every week in the EXP world. So you get plugged in, you can attend from your living room in your pajamas if you want to, and just more training, more opportunity. And really, it's a financial fast track. You think about the financial road that you're traveling down right now. Some of you are thinking, well, I feel like I'm stuck in a school zone, right? Where my speed is limited. Others are like, well, where does this road end up? And many times in the traditional model, it ends up in a cul-de-sac. You know, it's been said that realtors don't retire, they just die. Right? So, rather, what Glenn Sanford and the team over at EXP have created for all of us is a financial fast track. It's the road that's not just any road. It's an 8-lane highway. It's the Autobahn in Germany, where there's no speed limit. You can go as fast as you want, and that opportunity exists for each and every one of us. To me, now I'm 48 years old. This is the last and biggest wave that I'm going to ride before my career's over. I promise you that. I've not been more excited about anything in business since I got my real estate license 28 years ago.
And, you know, we only talked briefly prior to the interview today, and I didn't, you know, I knew a little bit about you, but I'm really impressed. You obviously researched the hell out of this thing. And, you know, the way you articulate the model and stuff makes it where it's even a higher belief for me, which I believe I have a high belief, but I'm just really blessed to have you on the show today. How much time do we have? I know you have a hard stop. How much time do we have left for you? A couple questions?
I've got 8 minutes.
Perfect. Let's do it. So I have a question I want to get to. Steve McCarty asked, any advice for selecting the right showing concierge ISA, traits to look for, etc.? Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I think you need to do some investigation into the dominant behavioral tendencies of the individual. And Steve, great question, by the way. I kind of look at it like this. In fact, many of you can relate. Have you ever gone out for a jog or a long walk with a pair of shoes that say a half size too small? I mean, heaven forbid you're in Disney World or something like that, right? And you've got these shoes that are too small. And, you know, for the first like quarter mile or maybe even half mile, it doesn't really bother you that much. Sure, it's a little bit uncomfortable, but it doesn't bother you that much. Yet after the first mile, I mean, the blisters start to form, the pain kicks in, and you want to take those shoes off as quickly as you possibly can and just walk barefoot. So if they're not set up behaviorally to be a fit for the role, in essence, is the shoe the right size? Are they set up behaviorally to really work that role at the highest level possible? Well, then I think they're pretty much doomed. Now for the showing concierge, and I'll just reference the DISC approach because many of you know that, and it's the easiest to gain knowledge on. I believe that you're looking for an I behavioral style as the dominant and the backup to be the D style. Now, a quick way to get to the bottom line, on the very first phone call, that initial interview with the individual, I'm just going to give you what I call the magic question, okay? Now, here it goes. And Randy, I just want you to answer this honestly. And by the way, sure, there's no such thing as a wrong answer to this. And this might feel a little bit off the wall to you, yet I just want your honest response and your knee-jerk response. You ready? Yeah. All right. So out of the 4 following choices, Randy, your best friend or significant other would describe you as one of the next 4. Okay. Number 1 would be direct and to the point. Number 2 is like a natural born salesperson, very socially driven, kind of like the life of the party, tells jokes, you know, and things like that. Doesn't ignore social boundaries. Number 3 would be warm, sincere, sensitive, and very friendly, good listener. Okay. Number 4 would be cautious, very accurate, and wants to be right all the time. Which one would you be?
I would be the social as a primary.
Okay. And if there were a number 2 on that list, which one would it be?
Direct for 100%.
Okay, so Randy, you've now passed my little litmus test here, right? That you are an I, influential, because I want you to be socially driven, and that D, direct and to the point, tells me that you've got the drive behind you, and you're going to demonstrate a higher work ethic because of the competitive nature that comes with somebody who's direct and to the point. Right. Now, if it were backward, if it were D first, then I just want you to recognize, unless you promote this person quickly in the organization, then they're going to leave you. Which
that's a great point, takeaway.
Yeah, which I think that's one of the most frustrating experiences that an agent who chooses to build a team experiences, right? Is that they train this person up, they pour into this person, and the moment they reach a certain level of production, well, they get drunk on the wine of their own success, and they think it's all because of them. And what do? They leave. And now you've just trained your competition. Isn't that exciting?
Right.
Where, you know, first off, we've developed models and organizational structure as well as compensation models to eliminate that from happening, because frankly, Randy, compensation is the one thing that is underutilized in real estate team development. You've got to be able to put the golden handcuffs on a person of talent for a minimum 5 years, ideally more like 7 or 8 or 9 years. Yet to give them a retirement plan, a vesting period associated with the net profits is a model that I teach to anybody who wants to build a team, okay? And it's critically important to your success. Now, on the other side of that, when you align with EXP, what we found is that individuals who do join a team and leave, now, of course, they list the team leader as their sponsor into EXP. And even if they leave, they're still going to create revenue based on that person's production, as well as their associated downline of agents. And guys, it's so easy to get to a position of substantial income on revenue share. In fact, let's go through a quick exercise with just a few minutes I have left. Is that okay?
Absolutely. It's your show, baby.
Yeah, right on. Well, let's just assume that you don't approach that model of attraction with EXP. Let's say you join EXP and you don't approach it with any real vigor, and it takes you a year to get 5 agents in your front line. And most agents can get there within a year. I mean, think about it. That's less than 1 every other month, and the model sells itself. Let's say you got 5 in your front line, and on your front line, you earn up to $2,800 per agent, okay? So that would be $14,000 a year. Nothing to write home about, yet it's still kind of exciting to get those checks. However, second line revenue, you're paid up to $3,200 per year, and this is the power of multiplication. So let's just say that the 5 that you attracted to EXP, each went out and they got 5. That would give you 25 on your second line, or up to $3,200 per agent, or $80,000 in your second line, plus the $14,000. Gang, that's $94,000, and all you've done is attracted 5 who attracted 5. And with any kind of effort, I think virtually anybody can pretty much get there within 12 months. So, I mean, we're already shattering records across the board as it relates to revenue share creation. We've got a funnel where we're getting over 500 leads every single month of agents that are interested in learning more about EXP. Wow. So, guys, for those that make the decision, align with this model, you've now positioned your financial future for success. And you think about your current model, if you're not with EXP, your future model for financial success is based on you grinding it out, your personal production and real estate sales. So I just say this is an add-on to what you're already doing, and it's an opportunity available to every EXP agent.
Really appreciate your time. I know you're running a lot of different directions with your Icon coaching program. And obviously, if they are interested, they could reach out to you in that way as well. What's the best way to get a hold of you? What's your best contact information?
Here, I'll just send me an email. Really simple. Send it to Shon, S-H-O-N. Yep. Shon at iconcoachingrE.com. The RE is for real estate, of course. Icon Coaching, just like that, RE.com. And I'll be happy to respond to you as quickly as possible.
Coachingre.com. Awesome. I'll put it on the screen again just to help people. They could copy and paste it, whatever they want to do. But Shon, I really, really appreciate you. Thank you for being on Tuesday Titans. We've had some amazing guests on here. We've got a lot of traction with it. We're expecting the same kind of traction with you. Obviously, you're welcome to reproduce this in any way that you feel fit as well. But we just, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate you being here, delivering the content and value you did. And if you could just send us a couple of selfies at Thanksgiving with, you and the family, we'd love to have it.
Well, you got it. My pleasure.
All right, brother. Hey, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, everybody that came on the show live and everybody that's going to watch afterwards. And by the way, look out for our podcast. It's likeabosspod.com. And we do nothing but entrepreneur, business owner, and really focused around the real estate space. But with icons like Shon on the program, we're really excited to deliver this content to you. So again, if you need anything, reach out. But Shon, thank you for being here. Thank you on behalf of Tuesday Titans. And you are a Titan in my book, brother.
Well, let's do this again, Randy, can we?
I'd love to do that. We'll put you back on the calendar, and I'm sure that nobody's going to complain. You're a great man.
Well, count me in, buddy. I appreciate everything. Everybody just have a productive week. Be on purpose, and as always, just be powerful. Thanks again.
Be powerful. Go crush the day.
Love it.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Tuesday Titans out. Talk to you later.